Okay, I'd like to work on some hand stuff here, some different rudiments, hybrid rudiments, compound stickings, and I'm going to go through these pretty quickly so we can get to the drum set. But I recommend checking out Jojo Mayer's DVD, which is 3 hours of hand technique, and it's just pretty much a must-have. So I can talk about things that have worked for me, and I play mostly traditional grip. But really, if you hold your sticks like this, that's fine. That's not wrong if you can play all the ideas you want to play. So there's no right or wrong way to hold a stick. It's just what works for you. But I was taught this way by my father, so this feels at home for me. And I do play match grip sometimes, but most of the time it's traditional grip. And a lot of times I see, youngsters trying to learn traditional grip and their palm is facing up, or they do this kind of crab claw looking thing. And your stick radius should be the same. You should be comfortable, your shoulders down. It's kind of a karate chop that comes in. And I can get as much power that way as I can this way. I mean, how much harder do you want to hit a drum than that? So that just works for me. And I'm trying to be loose at the same time so I don't injure myself or hurt myself in any way. But let's start out with something like double strokes. Now I want to keep them nice and even. And I'm kind of muscling out the second note. And at a certain point, I'm also working with the rebound, so I'm not really working very hard to do that. Now with doubles, there's a couple different ways to play doubles. First off, I spent some time playing on my bed as a kid when it was, late at night and it was too late to play the drum set. And I would work out these different patterns playing on a surface that doesn't have a rebound. Now, some people say it's not a good idea to practice on a surface that doesn't have a rebound so it doesn't mess with your touch on the drum set, but I don't know. It seemed to serve me well because I could really pull out the second strokes of the doubles. There's no rebound there. And then not work as hard to really, use some of the rebound at a certain point. And then if I use this motion where I kind of go out a little bit, it just swings a little bit more, it's sort of a looser feel. And straight up and down, like the more militaristic sort of feel. It's a slight difference, but the articulation is a little different. And it's a, slightly different thing, and it's kind of nice to be able to have two versions of the same thing in a way. And again, there's that kind of motion going out, like if I was to play or flam taps. That's different than, it's a slight difference in the articulation. And playing singles, there's many different ways to play singles. There's a lot of things utilized. Right now I'm using a lot of fingers with a little bit of wrist. You can bring in the arm, the elbow, and then there's different strokes. It's important to hold your stick with a little space in here in the right hand, or left hand if you're lefty. Because the moment that you close that gap, there's a tension that goes up your arm, and then you can literally feel it. Tension, no tension. Tension, no tension. So most of the time I play it with the fingers around like so. And that's a very important motion. And you'll see that come into some other things. But there's a down, an up, down, up, kind of that sort of thing. And I try to be really loose. There I'm using a lot of fingers and a little bit of this motion with the wrist. And And the first finger is just sort of guiding on top of the stick. That works for doubles as well. But another very important stroke is the molar stroke, the molar method. And I play sort of a bastardized version of it, I suppose. I sat with a practice pad with Steve Smith once in the early 90s, and I took a lesson with Jim Chapin. And one of the things I sort of gathered is it's good to have a dip in the wrist in the right hand. And there's this motion like this. It's almost like a cobra striking. And if you're playing triplets, it'd be down, tap, up. And you're getting ready to strike again. Down, tap, up. Down, tap, up. And sort of the same with the left hand. Down, tap, up. Down, tap, up. Down, tap, up. Down, tap, up. Put them together. Another thing that we used to do in high school, I was in a competitive drum line, and we used to play 16th notes into doubles and really try to get them to sound as similar as we could. Now, it's only going to sound so similar because, again, it's a different sticking, so the articulation is going to be different. But I always liked working on this. Play a bar 16th notes and then a bar doubles. Try to get them nice and even, but you can hear the difference between the two, and it's impossible to get them to sound exactly the same. It's a different sticking. So that's another great exercise I love to use. The triple stroke roll is another good exercise to build up your hands. Not really a lot of applications on the drum set for it, but nonetheless, that's another good thing to work on. 3 and 3. Speaking of triplets, there are certain figures, like when I was talking earlier about words and little bits and sentences. I think of certain figures as conjunctions that, can join one idea to the next idea. Paradiddles, inverted paradiddles, which are right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. Of course, the paradiddle. But little triplet sticking conjunctions, one would be right, left, left. Left, right, right. Left, left, right. Right, right, left. So when you see a drummer play, those are just a series of either inverted paradiddles or, these triplet figures. So if you get a handle on these little conjunctions, you'll be able to string all these ideas together. Another thing about paradiddles is you could just take the very first figure, a right, left, right, right, left. And just that could be its own figure. Like if you do that in a 4/3, it could almost sound like a little Buddy Rich like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And all that is. So when you learn a paradiddle, just the very beginning of that can become this lick, and I'll play it on the kit later, but and if you kind of blur the lines, it could even become the flam drag thing, which I'll go into later. If you lag the left hand. So you can kind of go back and forth cleaning that up or keeping it straight. Double paradiddles. We should all know those. Right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. You can play it like that, or you can accent the first two rights or the first two lefts. A paradiddle exercise I like to just mess around with sometimes is if I'm playing paradiddles at a straight 16th note rate, you can take them up to the 32nd note rate, play double paradiddles at the 32nd note rate, and then you play them down at the 8th note triplet rate. So here's 16ths, right? And then here's at the 32nd note rate. Same sticking, which gives you the 8th note triplet. Double paradiddles at the 32nd note rate. And then paradiddles at the 8th note triplet rate, which sort of gives you a 3/4, where you feel the half note triplet. It's 3/4. So it's fun to kind of go around and messing around with the different rates while playing the same sticking. You can mess around with the order, but it also just helps. You feel the different triplets. And then you can mess around on the kit with that and have some fun. All right, let's move on to 6 rolls, and I'll do a lot on the drum set with this, but. This can be played 2 ways, kind of militaristic like I was doing there. Or it could be played as sextuplets. Play this, reverse the sticking, starting with the left. This has a lot of uses on the drum set, whether for big fills or just to do like the Motown intro. Compound stickings are groups of doubles and singles put together. And I was fortunate to study with Gary Chafee, and he has a whole system for compound stickings, but 1 or 2 I'll share with you now that I found of use. It's another 6-note sticking, which is essentially a paradiddle diddle, which is right, left, right, right, left, left. to sort of accent the first one. This has a million uses on the drum set, and I'll show you that in a little bit as well. Another hand exercise I like to do is 2 6Bs. Gary called this a 6B sticking, so I'll call it that. 2 6Bs and then half of a paradiddle. So it would be right, left, right, then that whole pattern starting with the left. So you have a And I like exercises that are really symmetrical and where it works both hands evenly. And it's really nice for warming up. You can play that on the drum kit, but it's really nice for warming up, and that's one of the things I always use to get loose. Another compound sticking is called 8D, or Gary Chafee called it the 8D sticking, and it's essentially 4 singles followed by 4 doubles. So it's And that's another great thing to warm up, because you're playing 4 and 4, 4 and 4. And it just works both hands evenly. Flams. All right, flams. Right flam, left flam. You know, the right flam, that's the big note. Left flam, that's the big note. Alternating flams. And keeping them kind of tight, you can also open them up, make them kind of sloppy. But from the alternating flams, you go into flam taps. Now I'm kind of flattening them there a little bit. Instead of keeping them really open, I'm almost playing them at the same time. Another exercise I like to do is with flattening the flams is playing them in groups of 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. You know, 3s, 4, 5. I mean, you can go all the way up to 100 if you want, but you just start messing around, playing different figures. Flam accents, there are also alternating flam triplets that, well, they alternate. You can also sort of take this idea and phrase them in 5s or 7s by playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or 9s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is a great exercise because you're, you know, and again, you can flatten them. One of my favorite things to do with the flam accents is actually double the accented note, which is kind of sound like. Or if it's with the left. Blata, 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 blata. Five, 7, 9. So you can see that's quite a workout to it. The Swiss Army triplets are non-alternating, and it's essentially if you break down the two hands, the left is kind of playing a shuffle, and the right's playing. So really, if you can play a shuffle, and you can play it that fast. It's just a matter of piecing the two things together. Another sticking would be the shuffle's kind of on the right now. And it has a slightly different sound to it. Another variation of that. And each of these four variations have their unique articulation and their unique sound, and change when they're orchestrated on the drum set. Another variation of this would be with the flam on the last triplet, sort of Tony Williams style, and you'll see that on the drum set. One, two, three, four. We'll reverse the sticking. And if you mess around with these different stickings, you'll begin to feel the shape and sort of what it does to your body when you play it. And you'll be able to feel the little differences between each sticking. Another rudiment I use to warm up is called the patafla-fla. I didn't name it, but it's essentially this. You could also take the patafla-fla and kind of intersperse it with the flam accents, and then that'll sort of put the flams of the patafla-fla in different points of the beat. Here's alternating flam drags, which sound pretty much like this. And to show you how things are connected, if you take out the flams, you're left with And if you straighten that out, it becomes an inverted paradiddle. So we already know that one. Swing it. And flam the first notes. And you've got your alternating flam drags. Swiss Army flam drags. This is essentially the Tony Williams lick. Some people call it the bluzda. When I was growing up, I always called it the gabluge, because it sounded to me like gabluge, 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 gabluge. And the basic sticking is the secret's out on this lick. A lot of people know this one, but and you can keep it really tight and kind of militaristic sounding, or really open it up and lag that left hand. Or play it as a 4/3. And I tell you, we're going to have some fun with that one on the drum set. Or the reverse sticking of that would be you're just doing a single of the alternating flam drag. Those alternate. And then doing it Swiss Army style. Flam rolls. It's not sushi, although I could go for some sushi right now, but flam rolls, here's an example of it's just putting a left before a right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Okay? And then you can use that to really sort of fatten out the beat if you're just going to play. It's just a flam kind of makes it a little denser. But that's also a nice exercise to mess around with and have fun. And you can really get some nice patterns on the kit with that. Flam fives are just sort of a shortened version of the flam roll. And are played like this. This I call it the straight gabluge because it sounds like a bluge to bluge to bluge, but in 4. Bluge to bluge to bluge to bluge to bluge. And the sticking is and if you really kind of open it up a little bit, it sounds like bluge da bluge da bluge da bluge da bluge da bluge. And again, that's another one we're going to have fun on the drum set with. This other thing, I'm not sure what it's called, but I call it a Latiny flam double. And it's a left flam that's doubled. And the rhythm is just 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. And that's kind of a fun one to do different rhythms with, like. And I'll demonstrate that on the drum set as well, but it gets this really nice. I like playing 9-stroke rolls in singles, alternating. It's a very symmetrical thing, and it works the hands evenly. Or I can play that same rhythm, always starting with the right. My left hand just sort of fans out. It's like I'm throwing the stick and I'm just sort of guiding it back in. And also practice your dynamics. You don't have to play everything up here. You know, you can. You know, it's fun to play up here, but you want to make sure that when the volume gets down, that you still have your stuff together down here. These are different things that I play and I warm up on, before I go on stage, and I hope that they help you as well.